Alright, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be doing simplifying radicals with real numbers, integers, and integers, basically negative numbers. So let's go straight into it. So to simplify square root 100, it'll be simply 10 because it's a perfect square, and if we remember, 10 squared would be 100. So just simply simplify to 10 because it's a perfect square. And moving on, we have square root 45. And for this case, there's no perfect square for square root 45. And so what we had to do is list our factors, which would be 15 times 3 and 9 times 5. And in this case, they're both equal to 45, but we can't simplify 15 and 3 if we put them in radicals. But for 9, if we simplify it, if we put a radical on top of them, we can see that 9 is a perfect square, which would simply go into 3. But since the 5 can be simplified by a radical, we just simply leave it outside. So our answer would be 3 square root 5 for the simplified form of square root 45. Moving on, we have square root negative 36. Now in this case, we're going to reach an I as our answer we're going to have an I with our answer because that's a negative integer. And if you recall, in the circle of i's, square root negative integer, whatever integer that's negative, it'll eventually have an I next to the answer. So what we simply do is take 36 and forget the negative for now. And if you remember, 6 times 6, which would be 6 squared, is a perfect square of 36. And so if we recall, if we get square root 36, it would be 6. But since it has a negative number, negative integer, it would be 6i, due to the fact that it has a negative. Now if it was regular negative, if it didn't have a negative, and it would just be radical 36, it would be just 6. No I. But since it has a negative, it would be I. It would have an I. So our answer is 6i. Now moving on to square root negative 72, what we simply do is take 72 and find factors, because 72 is not a perfect square like 36 is. So we have 9 times 8 and 12 times 6 and 36 times 2. Now 12 and 6 simply just don't simplify with a radical. And now what about 9? 9 does. Yes, it does, but we can't use it because it's not the biggest perfect square. So we can't use them. Because 36, if we recall, it simplifies into 6. So what we do here is simplify to 6, because this 6, the perfect square root 36 is 6, and we have square root 2 because we leave the 2 inside because it can't be simplified. But we have a negative, so what do? We simply take an I and just add an I here. So we have 6i square root 2 as our answer. So yeah, thank you for watching another video of Big Dan Math.